Just about set for puck drop here. It's the Hockey East Game of the Week. Number 11 UMass and number 14 Boston University. 22 combined NHL draft picks on these rosters, including Lane Hudson, a Canadian second-round pick this summer.
Yeah, and what a fun player he is to watch play hockey. And Jay Pandolfo's coach said he thinks 2 steps ahead of everyone else. You know, on the blue line, he needs to get his defensive skills better every day, but he's working on that. And on the other side for UMass, you have Michael Cameron, who, you know, he's a really fast player. And last game, Greg Carver wanted to get that first line a little bit more speed, so he put him up there for that game, ended up scoring a goal in that game. He's back down in the fourth line today with Josh Nodler and Ryan Sutherland, but don't take that as a sign that he didn't play well. He did exactly what Greg Carver wanted him to do. He said he's a player, he might be a little undersized, but you want him in the lineup every game.
Starting goalies brought to you by UMass 5 College Federal Credit Union. That's the Olympian Drew Comesso. He missed 4 games after being injured and the 9-2 loss against Michigan early on, but back in net a couple of Saturdays ago, and this is their number 1 guy.
And that's the guy that you really want there. You know, he has been developing at BU for quite some time. Obviously, you mentioned played in the last Olympic Games. He is a heck of a goaltender, great positionally.
It's a bit of a tougher decision on the other end for Greg Carver, who said goaltending was, quote, not a strength last weekend, but he's going back to the well, and Luke Pavicic.
I like this decision, Tyler, because Pavicic has had some great games this year. Maybe there were a couple that he wanted back last weekend, maybe in the third period against Providence when they were trying to nurse a 2-goal lead. He wants one of those 2 goals back, but the reality is you got to give the kid a chance. I love watching him play. He plays positionally well, as you know, just like Comesso. It should be a great goaltending battle tonight.
They're going to look at Nick Zabinet into the lineup for Jay Pandolfo. He's the top line left winger tonight. Dylan Peterson and Jeremy Wilmer both unavailable for BU, each with 4 points at this early stage in the season. So Luke Tuck moved down from the top line to the third line as Jay O'Brien charges to the net, and it's tipped aside. You've also got Lachlan Getz for BU making his collegiate debut, third line defensive pairing. The freshman matched up with Cade Weber tonight. So a couple of new faces on the ice for the Terriers. Brian Carabas into the lineup as well. He's the second line right winger. Eric Faith, top line center, had that shot blocked at the near side circle all the way around to Scott Morrow, highest scoring blue liner in Hockey East. That one came loose. Big chance in front. Comesso kept it out. Big time giveaway. Mercury nearly capitalized, but Comesso bails out the defense. Into the corner they go. Mercury, the Hurricanes draft pick, comes around toward Ethan Phillips. It'll stay in for UMass. Mercury finds Morrow, working to the high slot. Will trade spots with Ufko. Shot was blocked and saved by Comesso. They've got both Morrow and Ufko on the ice together. But now McDermott will come out for the more typical defensive pairing. Those are 2 of the best two-way blue liners in the Hockey East. You can put Dominic Vinsori of BU in that conversation as well.
I'm so interested to see the contrast of how both of these teams start. If UMass, like you mentioned in the open, they've coming off 3 straight losses. BU, they're coming off their bye week. They've been anxious to play somebody that doesn't have a BU sweater on for the last 10 days.
The Terriers have played 3 weekend series, and they've split all of them. Each time it's a loss on Friday, and then they come back with a win on Saturday, most notably against Michigan when they lost 9-2, but they came back with a gritty 3-2 win the next day in Ann Arbor. This is Carabas. Looking toward goal. Brian Carabas' shot was blocked by Ufko. It winds up with McDermott, the Colgate transfer. He couldn't carry it out of his own end until Kenny Connors comes in to help. Freshman line is out there for UMass. Kenny Connors, highest scoring freshman in the conference, 11 points in the early going, but he gives it away to Matt Brown. Back out to Carabas at center in front of the BU bench. Cole O'Hara has it. He'll flip it ahead to Tyson Dick, but it's poked back to center. Lyndon Alger will whack this one in. His dad played for both of these teams back in the 90s. First UMass and then BU. This is Alger behind the cage. Cole O'Hara now wins that puck battle. Goes to Nodler. Shot from the circle. Blockered away by a reaching Comesso. Alger knifing at this one along the half wall. Goes to the corner for Stevens, and behind the cage they go to Lane Hudson. Overshot the pass intended for Luke Tuck. The wave icing off though. Tuck hustling hard and poked it free from Adamson. Centered that one, but it pinballs out to the wall. Up the boards it goes. Sullivan was stepped in front of by Stevens, and you're seeing that extra percentage of competitiveness from this Jay Pandolfo team, something Greg Carvel said he noticed right away when watching tape.
I agree with what Greg Carvel's assessment was. They do seem to have a little bit more edge. Sometimes it gets them in trouble. They are a little highly penalized at this point. Jay Pandolfo told us this week that's one of the things he wants to work on. You can play with an edge, but you have to stay out of the penalty box.
They talk about penalties. UMass has been the least penalized team in Hockey East each of the last 2 years. They've got the third fewest penalties this year, while BU is averaging 15 penalty minutes per game, 40 minors and 3 majors so far this year. And they've committed 6 or more penalties in all but one of their games so far this year. Certainly something to keep an eye on, because UMass, right now anyway, after a hot start, has the #1 ranked power play in the country. Jamie Armstrong and his fourth line working hard to keep it in for BU. They've earned a lot of praise from their coach this year. Armstrong, Stevens, and the freshman Flyers prospect Devin Kaplan, the fourth line group.
Yeah, going back to the penalties, you're given 7 power plays plus a game to your opponents if you're BU right now. That's unsustainable. Even if you have a great PK, which even that Jay Pandolfo mentioned they're working on, that's a work in progress. So you got to be careful to stay disciplined.
Kaplan zips it across the zone, hoping for Fensori, but Reed Lebster got a stick in there just in time. That one rejected to the corner by Eric Faith. They've broken up Eric Faith in the former Friars line. He's usually paired up with Matt Koopman and Jerry Harding, 2 former Providence players, but Faith is centering Reed Lebster and Cal Kufuk on the top line tonight. So it's Ty Gallagher, the Bruins prospect. He'll hoist this one down the ice past Pavicic. Jay O'Brien, he's a former Friar, wins that battle behind the cage. We'll find Case McCarthy by the blue line, now to the slot for Phillips. Good quick passing from BU, 5-on-5 on the offensive end. This is Lane Hudson, Hockey East Defender of the Month. Rips one toward goal, saves Pavicic. Zabinet will gather the loose puck behind the cage. 4.5 minutes gone by in the opening period. Hudson stops, shoots, missed it wide. 18-year-old Lane Hudson earning a lot of praise in Hockey East for good reason. Taylor McCarr had it poked away from Hudson. That one skids to Comesso. Will quickly get it out to Phillips, but he lost the handle to McDermott.
And for a defenseman, Lane Hudson has hands like you don't usually see.
Lawton back holding, sent it to the middle, but nobody home. And Zabinet eventually gets it up and out. Hudson had both goals 2 weeks ago in the overtime win against UMass Lowell. The game-tying score with 3 minutes left to force overtime, and then he scored an unassisted game winner a couple of minutes into the 3-on-3. Tyson Dick out to Lyndon Alger, hit off his stick, and Matt Brown, the second-year transfer from Lowell, starts to break out the other way 2-on-2, but he's bumped off the puck, and UMass can take over. Icing already waved off. Case McCarthy back to get it. He had the overtime game winner here last November 13th. 2 of his 5 goals came against UMass. This is Green, the freshman, all alone on Pavicic, and he scores! Ryan Green, the Blackhawks prospect. That's his 3rd goal of the season, and it's 1-0 BU.
We talked about being a little bit more competitive. This is definitely, from what I've seen so far, a faster BU team. And right there, they use that speed and acceleration on the outside, pick up the loose puck, get down the right wing side. Good job cutting to the net, moves to the middle, gets to the backhand. And it's one of those things when you can control your backhand. You can make all the moves in the world, but if you can't control your backhand and put it exactly where you want, you're not going to do much to score. That play right there, Ryan Green proved how great control he has of the puck on his backhand.
Wearing the number 9 that was worn for 5 seasons by Logan Cockrell, captain last year, played 134 games with BU. Now playing professionally in Europe, but a lot to live up to for Ryan Green, but so far so good. Scored 2 goals in his collegiate debut against Bentley back in October. Hadn't scored since, but he's back in the goal column now with 3 goals and 3 assists this season.